so I listed out 5 reactions that we can have towards our enemies. 5 reactions that we can have to our enemy. So if you want to think of who your enemy could be, think of a person who abused your child and killed them intentionally. Wow, that's who your enemy would be. Think of someone who would abuse your child and kill them intentionally. Now, think about loving them. I want to give you 5 possible reactions that we can have to our enemies. The first is hatred or revenge. Hatred or revenge. Okay, in this, you can actively do something to hurt your enemy. They did something to you to hurt you. You can do something back to hurt them. This is the basis for the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It is, you do something to me, I do something to you. That is completely human. This is our natural reaction. If somebody intentionally did something to me, I want to do something so bad to them that is equal to what they did to me, right? That is the normal, natural reaction. The second kind of reaction that you can have is what I'll call dislike, where you don't actively do something to hurt them, but you will passively do something to hurt them. So for example, let's say that you have a colleague or a classmate that is your enemy. You may not go out of your way to do anything for or against them, but if they are, let's say, getting a promotion, you will try to prevent them from getting the promotion. Or if their paycheck is going to go high while yours stays down, you're going to try to prevent them from doing that. That is, you dislike them, you passively do something to hurt them. A third reaction is indifference, where you don't do anything to either hurt them or harm or help them. You don't care. As far as you're concerned, they are your enemy and they don't exist to you. Okay? A fourth reaction that you can have is like, where you can do something passively to help them. Okay, so let's say your enemy is your neighbor, and your neighbor comes to you in the middle of the night. You've got nothing to do with them, it's your enemy. They come in the middle of the night knocking on the door and they say, my wife had a heart attack, can you take him to the hospital? You will passively do something to help them. Yeah. But Jesus wants us to go beyond all this, doesn't he? He wants us to love them, where we will actively, intentionally go out of our way, sacrificially choose to help them. Let me end with a story. The Amish are a religious and cultural group of people that came from Europe in the late 1700s, 17th century. And they're found in multiple states in the US and Canada. They live in rural communities and they are very peaceful people, moral people, very conservative Christians, and they have this very simple lifestyle, agricultural lifestyle, and they don't bother anybody. They reject all the the modern advancements. But October 2nd, 2006 would be a very dark day in their history. In the little town of Nickel Mines, Pennsylvania, a milk truck driver by the name of Charles Roberts, he was not an Amish person, but he entered this one-room Amish schoolhouse. And when he entered this Amish schoolhouse, he was loaded with weapons. He had a handgun, he had a shotgun, he had a rifle, and 600 rounds of ammunition. As he entered there were boys and girls and some adults there. He let all the boys go, so about 15 boys left. There was one pregnant lady that he told she can go. There were 3 other mothers with little infants that he said could also go. Remaining were 10 girls. He barricaded the doors and windows of this one-room schoolhouse. He tied the hands and feet of the girls and had them line up against the chalkboard. And by then, the teacher from outside called the cops. In 9 minutes, the police came there, and they tried to establish communication with him, but it failed. And then they tried to break down the door, and that's when they heard the shots. In the shots, 5 out of the 10 kids were dead, including the killer. How would a Christian group that believes in the command of Jesus to love your enemies, how would they react? How would they react? Because now this is not theory, correct? It's practical. How are you going to react to your enemy that is now at your doorstep? And ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of pain and grief, they obeyed the command of Jesus to love their enemies. They reached out to the family of the killer, to his wife and family, and offered their condolences and their support. And most of the Amish went for his funeral. 2,000 years ago, as Jesus hung on the cross, he had the opportunity to practice what he preached. And how did he respond to the people that were crucifying him? He said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing."